Hi guys, can you see me and hear me clearly?
Hello, yes.
Hello, yes.
Oh, great. Awesome. So let's begin our session for today. So sit comfortably wherever you are. Keep your back and neck straight. And once you feel ready, very gently close your eyes. And just start observing your breath. Watch the natural flow of your breathing as you inhale and as you exhale. Now gently shift your attention to your body. Become aware of your posture. Check your alignment and adjust your body so that in your final position you are both comfortable and stable. Now gently come back to your breathing and begin to deepen your breath consciously. Slow, long and deep inhalations. Slow, long and deep exhalations. And now, after your next inhalation, hold your breath in for about 2 seconds and then go into the process of exhalation. Inhale, hold, and exhale, repeating this process again and again. We are going to open today's session by chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. Take a deep inhalation for Om. Om. Feel the vibrations, feel the sensations. Join both your palms together in front of your chest. Begin to rub your palms together. Keep your palms on your eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, begin to open up your eyes, coming back with a big smile on your face. Namaste to everyone. Om Shanti. Let us begin our session for today. So yesterday we had discussed a lot of things, and we had finally, delved more deeply into the concept of Raj Yoga. And today we are going to dive in more deeply. So we have already discussed the practices for the advanced level student and the intermediate level student. So today we are going to move towards one of the most famous concepts out there, and those are the practices for a beginner level student. And this specific practice of Raj Yoga, is called Ashtangyu, or 8 limbs of yoga. Ashtanga Yoga. So ASHTANGA. Okay. 8 limbs of yoga. The term Asht, ASHT, if you look at this term means 8. Asht is Sanskrit counting for 8, and Ang, ANGA. This term means the limbs, okay, or parts. So 8 parts of yoga, or 8 limbs of yoga, right? So when he gave this name, he had this thing in mind, that the number of limbs, they get captured in the name itself. Okay, so I'll write down all the 8 names, and we will discuss each and every one of them, right? So you might also be familiar with this already. So first one is called Yama, YAMA. Okay, then second one is called Niyama, NIYAMA. Third one is Asan, ASAN, right? Then Pranayam, PRANAYAMA, Pranayam. Pratyahar, PRATYAHARA. This is the 5th limb. Then we have Dharana, DHARANA, Dharana. Dhyan, DHYANA. And last one is Samadhi, SAMADHI, Samadhi. These are all the 8 limbs, so you can just note them down quickly. And I will give the English translation also, and I will explain each and every one of them deeply, and I will also talk a little bit about why this particular sequence has been given. Okay, so we are going to see how logically, Patanjali approached this entire thing, and what is the logic behind? Like, what was he thinking? Why did he set the 8 limbs in like this specific manner only? Yeah? Okay. So we'll start with the first limb. So first limb is called Yama, Y-A-M-A, Yama. And these are the social observances, you can say, or the social ethics. Okay, so we all are existing in a society, right? And we all are constantly in touch with the external world. And most students, they come and they have this notion or idea that when you are practicing yoga, you have to seclude yourself. Okay, so that is a very very advanced stage, and that happens quite naturally. If you right now, if you plan, you will pack your bags and you will I go into extreme isolation, or you will leave everything behind and you will go in extreme isolation. So we are not ready currently. Okay, we can have a strong will to leave everything behind, that happens, but or the urge to leave everything behind. Okay, because the more you practice yoga, the more you see that now you are maybe like a lot of people who practice, they find the people around them very disturbing, right? But this is not the point of yoga, right? The yoga is supposed to harmonize you with everything around you, right? It's not supposed to make you feel that everybody else is irritating and you are walking on the right path or you are doing the correct thing, right? So Patanjali focused on yamas a lot. He said that you have to exist with the people around you. Even if you go into seclusion, like of just certain people who are doing the same practices as you are, you have to exist with them. And even the yogi, when the yogi goes in isolation, is still existing uh, in connection to the environment around them. And it's not as if the yogis don't come across people, right? They also meet a lot of people when they are even in isolation. And especially when they attain the final goal, then they work towards passing that thing down. Like if you look at Siddharth Gautam's life, so he went into extreme isolation and he got enlightened, but finally he came back and he gave that knowledge to people. So this way or that way, you are going to interact with the society around you. It could be people, it could be the environment, maybe just the animals, right? But you are going to interact in some way or the other. So what is the correct way of interaction? So Patanjali first focused on correcting your interaction with the external world. And he said that no other practice will do you any good if you are not able to live in harmony with the things around you, right? So his concept mostly starts with first harmonizing yourself with the environment around you. Okay, it's not saying that you just leave everything behind. It is actually quite the contrary, right? He is giving us ways in which we can exist with more harmony, right? And more harmony doesn't mean you are doing whatever everybody else is asking you to do. That is the point of the yamas, how you have to interact. You are changing this thing when you begin to follow the yamas. Okay, and raj yogic practices, like I said, even the beginner is very advanced level, right? So the mind is at that point of stability that they can first grasp the yamas. Okay, so if you look at the concept of Hatha Yoga, it begins with the body, begins with asana or shatkar, right? So Hatha yogis, they believed that this all of these rules and regulations, they were creating a lot of guilt in people, right? So if I'm not able to follow one rule, then I will generate a lot of guilt, right? That I'm unable to follow that rule. So that was holding people back after a while. Okay, so till a particular point, people had to, you know, imbibe the yamas and niyamas, and they were doing fine. Okay, they were able to do that thing. But as the time changed, the environment changed, they were not able to stick to the rules very well. So it was just generating the guilt. So Hatha yogis, they removed these first two, you can say, limbs, and they placed them later on. Okay, so they do come up when you read Hatha yogic texts also, but they are on like later on they are incorporated. Okay, so but Raj Yogi, because already the training has been given, right? A lot of training has already been done. The Raj Yogi can begin and pursue this thing, right? The yamas. So now they look at the correct way of interaction with everything around them. Okay. So yamas are also 5 in number. So Patanjali gave 5 set of rules. And if you ever go for any kind of deep meditation retreat, there would be certain rules and regulations that you by default have to follow, right? So this is a very, very common thing that you will see. This is not something out of the blue that I am talking about. At least when you go for some such kind of some retreat of this kind, you will see that at least for the days you are there, you have to follow, right? After that, it's totally up to you. But it's a prerequisite, right? So they are total 5 in number. So first one is called It's called ahimsa or non-violence. AHIMSA. Ahimsa or non-violence. Okay. So now first thing in the way of your interaction should be non-violence. Okay. Now what does violence, non-violence over here means? Violence doesn't mean that you are specifically just going out and, murdering someone, killing someone, right? The violence can show up again on a lot of levels, right? Sometimes, we just think of hurting someone, right? We really want to hurt that person. And constantly our thoughts are these only, that how can I hurt that person better, right? So this is also an act of hinsa. Hinsa meaning violence, right? So technically I'm not doing anything. In my mind only I am like hurting that person. But on the mental level, I told you action is taking place on the mental level, on the speech level, and then on the bodily level as well. So the 3 levels to it, right? So now what you have done, you have made the mental action violent when you think in this way. So suppose you talk of hurting someone or you abuse someone, again, violence on the vocal level, right? And then if your anger increases too much, then you go ahead and hit somebody, or you go ahead and kill somebody, right? The person who kills, right, first has the thought of killing, right, and then goes ahead and takes all the necessary steps to kill someone, right? So when Patanjali, he talked of ahimsa or non-violence, he was talking on all the levels, right? So for us, at least we can begin on the physical level, not just on the speech level, or mental level is very, very high. Okay, so that is a higher level, but at least on the physical, whatever action I'm doing, and if I'm very aware, at least I can also control my speech, right? I can choose not to abuse, right? Or I can choose to use different words to put the same thing, right, into perspective, right? So when Patanjali, he said that you have to interact in this way, it should show up on all the levels. But for us, at least we can do the actions. Okay, so action doesn't just mean that I'm hitting someone, or I am, specifically killing someone. Action is also supporting certain things which are, you know, indirectly or directly leading to those things, right? So suppose you go ahead and you love something to eat, right? And you know that the person who is producing that thing, that person is also doing a side business of, suppose, killing animals, like, and selling the non-vegetarian food, right? So you are indirectly supporting that person, right? When you are buying from them, you are indirectly supporting those actions, because when you contribute, right, to towards such a person, that person is using that money in that respect, right? Or suppose you are very environment like conscious, so you go ahead and you buy something you love to eat, right? And that is in plastic, right? And you are believing that this is going to hurt the environment, right? So you stop doing those things, you start making more conscious choices basically, right? So the more conscious your choices, right, the better you will be able to navigate through uh, um, these things, right? And like I said, it's not as apparent as it seems initially. And I know it's very difficult to, even come out of this circle, because the entire society, in one way or the other, is functioning towards showing more violence towards the environment, right? But at least we can make certain choices on a personal level, which in our view will reduce that kind of violence, right? So interaction with the environment, interaction with the people around you, both things I have given one example, right? So with regard to people or with regard to the environment, the more you are able to reduce this violence, okay, the more peaceful you will feel. So try this thing out. I'm not asking you to specifically just follow this thing, and it could mean different things for you, okay, in your respect, what kind of diet you are taking, or what kind of lifestyle decisions you are making. These things are totally up to you. You can change them as much as is comfortable for you. But I would definitely encourage you to try. Okay. Give it a shot and see how you feel. Right? Because finally, at the end of the day, if it is making your life better and if it is making you feel stable, I would not say happy also. I would say at least neutral, or you're calm, you're more peaceful, then that thing is worth doing. Right? So overall, ahimsa is this concept only. Reduce the violence to whatever level you can, right? And Patanjali, he has focused a lot on yamas and niyamas. He said that so many things which you feel that, like people talk of very advanced things, and they are like, if we don't do the advanced practices, we will never be able to achieve those things. But Patanjali said just the establishment of the yamas and niyamas will give you a lot of, wonderful results, right? So people want to do, they want to leave behind these simple things. They want to do more of like things which are engaging them. But yamas and niyamas are very powerful in their nature. So if you practice them well, you will see a lot of impact come in, right? Like for the case of ahimsa, Patanjali said that, the yogi who has practiced ahimsa deeply, two such creatures who are generally violent towards each other, it is their nature to be violent towards one another. Suppose a deer and a lion, okay, so they're supposed to be violent towards each other, but when in the presence of the right? So that is the level of impact that comes in when you practice non-violence, right? That your presence in that area is turning the normal nature of two creatures who would harm each other, and it's turning it into something so friendly, right? They are becoming friends now, right? So this is the deep level till which the yogi practices. Okay. Now, next thing after ahimsa is satya or truth. Okay. So now, when he said that you have to live in harmony with the truth, right, and you should be honest, Honesty on surface level, yes. For us beginners, yes. At least whatever interaction I'm having with you, I can choose to be honest, right, about it. I can choose to be as honest as is possible. At least for you guys, like if you feel right now you are interacting with certain people, you're not able to be fully honest with at least as much as you can. Okay. And then you will come to a stage where dishonesty will be removed fully, right? Then in each and every interaction, you will be honest. And right now, the honesty is on a personal level, right? So for the beginner, it's more about the personal level of honesty. Am I being honest when I'm communicating with you? Are you being honest when you're communicating with me, right? But eventually, it comes down actually what he meant by the truth. He was talking of the universal truths. Okay. So each and every yogi who went into isolation, each and every yogi who got free from all the sufferings came to certain conclusions, came to certain truths about life. Okay. Like one very common truth, Siddhartha Gautam, famously known as Buddha, he also talks very much about it. And he said suffering is a truth of life, right? Don't you think that, no matter what you do, right, the suffering is not leaving you, right? Happiness, you can still do something and get it and then it will go away, but this suffering doesn't seem to go away, right? It is because suffering is the reality of life and it is a universal truth, right? So there are some universal truths that exist, right? Like the nature of things being impermanent, right? So now not very easily observable that things are impermanent, but if you do meditation, right, that is why, guys, I always emphasize don't miss your meditation classes. If you do meditation, you will start seeing the impermanence of things and start observing this more closely, right? So now I tell you, like in philosophy class, I tell you, things are impermanent, right? So you listen to me for a few minutes, you have this realization everything is impermanent, right? And then as you step out of the class, again you start living the life as if it is permanent, right? It could be any decision that you make, right? But it reflects as if you're going to live forever and that the situation is going to remain that way, right? So if you look at the yogi, yogi is making the decisions on this truth, right? So they never get attached to one place, they never get attached to one specific thing. If there is a party around them, they will enjoy. And if the party is gone, it is gone, right? Right? So this truth, living in the, being in touch with this kind of truth, living with the harmony of such a truth is the actual, like, you can easily understand if the person is a yogi, right? Because the yogi will always live in harmony with this ever changing, right? Ever changing world around them. And they get free on the mental level, they are free from whatever changes are happening. The kind of, when something changes, we have so much anxiety, so many thoughts, right? So on the mental level, we are shaken, right? But yogi becomes free from this because they harmonize themselves with the universal truths now, right? If you harmonize yourself with the society in which you have grown up, right? So the rules of the society, the truths of the society, right? Or your own truth. So that harmony will do you some good, right? But not the ultimate good. Because if you change the society, if you travel to some other part of the world, all those rules and setups that the society around you, trained you to believe, those are going to change and they can be completely opposite also, right? So that is why, when people go to different cultures, they get a shock, right? They feel very guilty. They don't participate in other traditions because it's very, very opposite to what they have been taught, right? So they are unable to leave behind the training that the society has given them, and they are unable to harmonize themselves with the universal truths. The person who gets harmonized with the universal truths just sees that there are people right around them, and everybody is suffering. Everybody is a person, no, you, I, everyone around you, everyone around me, they are people only at the end of the day, right? No matter what they choose to believe in, where they were born, right, how they grew up, right? So yogi gets more universal, the approach also becomes much more universal. And truth is about, for beginner, getting the truth on all the levels, right? Being honest and eventually moving towards the universal truths, because those realities are never going to change, right? So those are the more permanent, you can say, realities. They were here way before we were here, and they are currently also existing, and they will exist, even after we are gone, right? So harmonizing yourself with something like this, again brings about a lot of balance in your own life. Okay. So third one, if there are any doubts, questions, queries, please feel free to unmute yourself, write it down in the chat box. I will be more than happy to answer any questions or doubts that you guys have. Okay. Third one, okay, aste or non-stealing. ASTEYA, aste or non-stealing. So now you will say, oh, I don't steal, right? Yeah, I don't specifically go out of my way and just take something which I'm not, like, I have not paid for, right? Because stealing, again, in the common world, that is how it is viewed, right? But constantly we are, stealing the ideas. We are, especially with the internet being so open and wide, right? And so many things being available on the internet. We are generally, downloading music, downloading movies, totally free, right? So we are reading the ideas of other people, and we are, utilizing them without the permission, right? So stealing is anything where you are not taking the permission, right, of the person who is essentially owning that thing, right? Suppose you are in a workspace, right, and there are some facilities that are given to you, right? But for those facilities, maybe there's some people who are responsible. Suppose you just get free coffee or free tea, right, in your workspace, but there are some people who, look after that place, or who are, you know um, taking care of that area overall. They are responsible for this thing. So it's very important, whenever you go and take that thing, you take their permission, right? Just take their permission and then take that thing, right? So this sense of entitlement that has set in within us, especially this generation or people existing in this time, because everything is so easily available, right? And everything just seems to be there, and nobody is, specifically placing a price on anything, right? Especially if you look at music, right, or if you look at some idea that you read, right? So it's always good to take the permission. It could be in any regard, right? uh, it will greatly help. I'm not saying if you don't take the permission, you are specifically or consciously stealing, but the awareness begins to rise so much, right? This is the heightening of the awareness only, where maybe earlier you walked by, there was a fruit that had fallen on the road, and you just picked it up and you know started walking again, and you ate that fruit, right? And just the deepening of the awareness, where you recognize that this fruit, even though it is like on the ground, and even though nobody around there, they are looking, but still you don't have the correct permission to consume it, right? Unless and until you don't take the permission, right? So this is the heightening of the awareness, heightening of the level of awareness where you see what actually is yours and where you need to take the permission, right? And this thing will become more and more clear the more you approach uh, the things in your life with this kind of mind, right? Can I have this thing, and do I need to take the permission? If I do, then I should, right? Just asking someone that can I take this, it's just a very short statement, but it changes so much, right? And you get the same kind of result, when your way of interaction becomes such where it doesn't have this you know um, stealing thing in it, then you will see life change completely. Again, yamas and niyamas, I also consider them personally to be very, very important. And wherever you can, from today, increase your sense of awareness and see wherever you can incorporate these practices, incorporate them in your life. Your life will, I guarantee you this thing. I don't take guarantee for things, okay, generally. But if you follow the yamas and niyamas, I guarantee you your life will become much, much better, right? The answers that you are looking for, the kind of sense of freedom you are looking for, you will get them once you get disciplined about these things. These are the little things that will make a huge impact, right? So next is was your non-stealing. Then we come to the fourth one, which is brahmacharya. Very loosely translated, this term means celibacy, very loosely translated, like on a very surface level, you can say BHRAMACHARAYA. Okay, so this is the very loose translation, and this term is commonly misunderstood. Okay, so a lot of people, is even I don't know for you guys. So when you step into spirituality, right, or you want to do more spiritual practices in your life, so people are like, do you practice brahmacharya? Or they expect this thing out of you, that you are practicing brahmacharya something, right? So first thing I want to break down for you, brahmacharya or any yama or any niyama, it has to come naturally. If you keep forcing yourself to, be honest, if you keep forcing yourself to be non-violent, you will either end up suppressing something and it will blast out some other day, or you will take it out passive aggressively and you will not realize. Okay, so yamas and niyamas, that is why I said till whatever capacity you can practice them, not what is the ideal or what is the standard. No, because if you force the yamas and niyamas on yourself, right, you will initially gain a lot of control and you will be able to do the things. But one fine day when you are having a weak moment, you will blast, right? Have you ever seen if you try to control some diet, right? You don't want to eat a particular thing. Then what happens? You control, control, control. And then one fine day when you are having a bad day, you're feeling very sad, you end up, consuming that thing in much more quantity, right? So earlier maybe you just ordered one burger, right? But now you will order three or four because for so long you haven't had that, you have suppressed your desire, and then in that weak moment you will feel you are entitled to have so many more, right? So I don't believe in jumping in extremes either way, right? Just do as much as is coming naturally to you, right? And the more you practice you, the more cleansing takes place. So then more and more things will start coming naturally. Okay, So don't force yourself. So this is especially true for the case of brahmacharya. If I just explain the surface level meaning also, so surface level meaning is not engaging in sexual activities. Okay, that is what celibacy is, that you are choosing not to engage in the sexual activities. And most of the people who are into any kind of spiritual practice, they are forcing this upon themselves, right? So they have the desire, they want to engage in sexual activities, but they constantly suppress that thing. Now the environment of the society, it was making you suppress certain things, and now you come in the environment of the spiritual practices, and this environment is making you suppress this desire. Okay, so don't get caught up, right? Because each and every environment will have its own set of rules and regulations, because finally people are driving it, right? Not the ideas themselves. It's us people who drive these things, right? So a lot of people you will see who are going for spiritual practices, they are forcing themselves, they are suppressing their desire. This is very dangerous. Okay. First thing, this is a common human desire, right? And this is an this is, you can say, a particular kind of instinct or urge that we have, right? So if you suppress any kind of urge in your body, right, something that your body needs, then you end up causing disease to your body, right? Suppose I want to burp, right, but I'm in a place where I cannot, right? So I suppress that thing because I have control over it, right? But what this thing will do, I stop the urge of the body, right? So if I do this a lot for a long period of time, I might end up causing some disease to myself, right? So be very careful. You don't have to, you know, suppress the urge. Okay. So most people, either they are suppressing the urge or they are over reactive towards this urge, right? So there are two extremes that are going on in the world currently. So you have to be careful of both of them, right? If you are coming towards this side, don't suppress your desires. This desire goes away at a very, very high stage. Okay. Let me also already free you from this thing, this guilt. This urge, even a lot of yogis, they are, you know, unable to get free from it. They have to go for very, very long practice, like years and years of practices. This goes away at the very end. Okay. Before that, you will have this desire. So what you can do practically, like for us, for beginners, what we can do practically, first thing, don't become overreactive. Okay. So it is okay to become reactive on a beginner level. I'm saying this thing, right? Not on uh, later level, but beginner level. Don't overreact. First, stop the overreaction and come to a neutral point, right? Now, when you are engaging in such activities, right? So don't suspend also. When you're engaging in sexual activities, then be conscious, be aware. Check how you are feeling, right? Check how your respiration is. You have worked in meditation classes on your respiration. You must have been introduced to anapan, right? So see, however much you are able to be in touch with yourself, with your reality in that moment, be more mindful. It shouldn't be as if your mind is somewhere else and you are engaging in the sexual activities, right? So start becoming more conscious of how you are feeling, how you are breathing, what is your heart rate, how your heart is beating, you know. So these things, for a beginner, they are going to bring about again a big change. Right now, you are becoming conscious of an activity which is like quite important to the body, right? It is a need of the body only. It's something to, you know, discard away, right? So start becoming more conscious towards these activities, right? On the beginning level. And slowly you will see that if you know, do a lot of yogic practices in general only, you will not feel like, you know, engaging in those activities, or the frequency will reduce, right? If you are suppose giving 2-3 hours on the mat, right? You're doing your asana practice, pranayam, meditation, right? So you will get tired, no? Or maybe you're giving more than that. So you will get tired, you will just go and fall asleep, right? So just merely just shifting the focus, right? Or but you need to channel this energy, because this energy has a lot of potential, right? In Hatha Yoga classes also I explained, right? This energy is so powerful that it leads to the creation of another life, right? So it's not that easy to, just to be, just shun it away, right? So either you put that energy somewhere else, you do the yogic practices, you put that energy over there, or you engage in those activities and you become more of it, right? Now, this is for the surface level, right? Beginner level, or the surface understanding of brahmacharya. Actually, what brahmacharya means, so we have three gods, right? In especially in yoga, you will hear their name. So Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, right? So Brahma is considered to be the source of creation of everything, right? So when we're talking of brahmacharya, right? So Brahm, like acharan is behavior, right? So Brahm ki tarah acharan karna, right? So God-like, basically conducting yourself in a God-like way, in the way in which Brahma, he conducts himself, right? Because Brahma is the source of creation, right? He is the God who led to the creation of everything. So the yogi tries to imbibe, or uh, you know bring in as many qualities, godlike qualities, as possible, right? So one of them is not engaging in sexual activities when you are ready for it. Okay, don't force yourself. Again and again I keep repeating this thing, but you conduct yourself, it's a godlike behavior, right? So this is just the one that I explained, the sexual activity, that is just one part of it, right? There are so many traits that God has, right? So we are trying to conduct ourselves in that manner, right? So I will just explain the last yama and we will close today's session. We will discuss the niyamas and all the other limbs tomorrow. Last is aparigraha. Okay, so it is non-possessiveness, aparigraha. APARIGRAHA, aparigraha, or non-possessiveness. So, don't you think it is our sense of possessiveness which is causing most of the issues in the world? Right? So I will give one of my personal examples only, right? So I'm very attached and close, very close to my, like I love the t-shirts that I have, okay? So means if I share my t-shirt with someone in my life, right, that person is very close to me, okay? So there's this common understanding, right, that I love my t-shirt. So last year, actually last year when we were in lockdown, so my sister, she is, we are two sisters. So my sister, she is very you know, I am a very relaxed, chill kind of, like I have that kind of thing. I'm not very active, right? But she's very active. She's very proactive, especially when it comes to, um, giving, right? So she, personally believes in a lot of causes and she has her ways of contributing towards them, right? So one of them is that every few months in our home, she takes out some clothes that she hasn't been using, and then as when she's doing this thing, she tells everybody in the house, right, that all of you, get up and take out whatever clothes you are not using. So I still remember this specifically happened in the lockdown. So she came to me also and she said that, it was quite normal for us to do this thing, right? So I'm specifically giving the example of the lockdown because I, had a realization then, right? So I also went to my almirah and I started taking out whatever I wasn't wearing. And then I came to my t-shirts, right? And I love my t-shirts. Okay. So now my mind was again and again, coming up with reasons why I shouldn't give a particular t-shirt away. Right. So first kind of excuse my mind came up with was that in this color you only have this t-shirt, right? Or in this style you have only this t-shirt, so you should not give it away. And then in like this, multiple kinds of reasons my mind came up with. And eventually, I should have taken out these many t shirts, maybe, but I ended up only taking out these more, right? And now, this is a very common thing when you go through your wardrobe. So, with so much dedication, concentration, for 1 or 2 weeks, you get very excited. Oh, I have this thing also. I have this thing also. So, you want to wear, now you want to wear all the t shirts you haven't worn for months and months, because now you have become aware that that thing is there, right? You gave it your attention. So for 1 or 2 weeks I wore like all of them, every other day a different style of t-shirt and everything, right? And after 1 or 2 weeks I came back to the 3 or 4 t-shirts that I wear, right? And I have been using the same jackets for years and years now, right? So for 4 5 years, I've had the same few jackets, and I have rarely bought clothes, especially for winters, because these clothes, they are so like good. They, you know, they stay for a long period of time, right? So you don't just throw them away so easily, right? And I'm like, I realized this thing when I was doing this sorting out, how possessive I am of something I really love, right? And other things also, but this was one specific example. So my sense of possessiveness was not allowing me to, give the clothes away to somebody who needs them. And for 1 or 2 weeks, I wore them. And then I was again back to my 4 t-shirts. I'm not even like joking about this thing. This is literally what happened. I wear those 4 5 same lowers, right? 4 5 same t-shirts, and my life is good, right? There is no, I don't feel any lack that I don't have this or I don't have that. What about the remaining clothes, right? They could have, easily helped someone who needed them, right? And this sense of possessiveness, shows up in little things that we do every day. I observe this about myself also every day, right? And don't you think there are enough clothes for all the people out there? There's so many clothes lying in shops. Those shops close down every night. And, so many people, they don't have proper clothing and they either feel too, they get burns on their skin, or they feel too cold and they get ill because of that thing. We, as a sense of possessiveness, have placed a price on the clothes, right? There are enough clothes for all the people, right? And enough meaning not just one pair, at least 2 3 pairs would be there for everybody who is living, right? But because of the prices that we put on them, because of the barriers we have created, because of the sense of possessiveness that we have towards such things, we are, restricting them from reaching to the people who really need them, right? People literally die because of improper clothing, and we are placing prices on the things, right? So at least people who need them, we have to work on our sense of possessiveness. It is only then that the world will become better. There is no other way in which, the things around us, they are going to get better, right? We have to leave this sense of possessiveness behind. And this, when you start doing this thing, you get free. The sense of freedom is amazing. If you love something, you're constantly worried about it, right? If suppose I love some t-shirt, I give it to someone out of necessity, right? That person needs it. I will, in that time, I will be thinking about, oh, is my t-shirt okay? Is my t-shirt okay? right? That happens, no? It's very common. It happens with me also, and I still struggle with it, right? But your mind is completely engaged and absorbed in that thing. What a burden, isn't it? If I would have been free of this burden, I would have been better off, right? So this sense of possessiveness, it brings about so much burden on us only, right? So Patanjali said that move towards non-possessiveness, right? Develop this trait within you so that you can be free. Your mind can be free to focus on the yogic practices, because these practices, they require a lot of focus and attention, right? So through the yamas, you can unburden yourself to a great extent, right? So try to incorporate as many of them as possible into your lives, and you will see great change come up, right? Any questions, doubts, queries that you have? Any difficulties in whatever we have studied today? Okay, so I'll just close. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
this is just the yamas. All the is it was five? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And this belongs to the Raj Yoga, or this
Yes.
is okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Great. So I'll just close the session with Om Shanti, because already time is up, and you can, like, you also need a breather between two classes. So Om Shanti, everyone. I will see you for pranayam class in the afternoon. So take care, guys, and bye bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Om Shanti.
Take care. Bye bye.